Hello everyone. Friends, this is Mozart speaking. Well, the madness in Bitcoin continues. It has broken the $93,000 mark. And let's see what might happen with it next. In fact, today's entire spike is driven solely by Bitcoin. No, altcoins have bounced back too, but only Bitcoin has made a new high. This is evident from the dominance, which has shot back up into the stratosphere. It has absorbed the entire drop in market cap, which was quite significant. And to turn around like that in a V-shape, breaking back through all the moving averages, well, that's quite serious. What's my plan? Here now, well, it's not so much a plan as it is some thoughts on Bitcoin. I wasn't able to buy back into Bitcoin. I had 2 limit orders set. As you know, I changed them yesterday in the Telegram channel. But I did manage to buy back into Solana, and we bought it right at the bottom. Today was a good entry point. At least that's something, and that's good. The signal was only in the Telegram channel, so it wasn't on YouTube. Therefore, if you don't want to miss out, subscribe to my Telegram channel. The link is in the description below this video. So, take a look. On the 4-hour chart, let's say, suppose it stops for a breather somewhere around here. Well, let's say I don't know yet, because the last 4-hour candle is very strong in terms of volume. Then we have a divergence forming on the 4-hour chart. There it is. It's already noticeable. It's already pronounced. This is the 4-hour chart. As for the MACD, I don't know if there will be a divergence or not. If it stops right now, somewhere around the 93 to 92 mark, there will be. If it goes higher, it might make a new high. Then there will be a divergence on the MACD. But I'll only find out, roughly speaking, tomorrow when another 1, 2, or 3, at least 4-hour candles close. If that happens, if a divergence is indeed drawn, then most likely Bitcoin will move into a correction from here. And for now, the correction can be considered within this range. No more than that, for now, here, and the targets for the correction will be some nearby levels, around 90, roughly, 88, and it might do a retest of this density at 86, in this case, regarding the correction. Next, on the daily chart, no divergences, it's charging ahead, like a steam train. I will adjust the limit orders, on the daily chart again well, roughly under the correction on the 4-hour chart. So somewhere around here, this is where I will now be ready to buy it back. I think 1 limit order will be enough. Mondays. What do we have on Monday? We're hitting the upper boundary of the global diagonal resistance. So that's it, we've hit the limit. And right now, it would be good to trade it, because the last 2 weekly candles are very strong. It would be good to cool it down somehow. From a technical standpoint, in terms of locking in profits, that would be beneficial. My target in this cycle, as I've mentioned several times, is a reasonable target for Bitcoin, which is in the range of $90,000 to $110,000. My first stop was at the $80,000 to $85,000 mark. We quickly broke through it and went straight to the global target. And now we've broken through the lower boundary of my global target. So, I can just draw it like this. So conditionally, here we have 90, 110 we've broken through, and even just going back to the lower boundary, that is, to the 90 mark, nothing terrible will happen. That's regarding the technical side. So, right now I'm ready to re-enter Bitcoin somewhere around here. The new limit order will be in the Telegram channel. Just like for all the other coins, I provide there. Moving on, liquidations. Shorts. With each new impulse, they continue to decrease. This is already the 4th impulse with a reduction in liquidations. So, the process is ongoing. But, yes, the fuel in this regard is running out slowly, but for now, it is running out. This also needs to be taken into account. We must bear in mind that if there is a correction, it may not be particularly strong, but it could be prolonged to relieve this overheating. Can we alleviate this overheating within the 4-hour time frame? Yes, we can. So, if we start to correct like this now, moving around for a while, in this case, the divergence on the 4-hour chart will be alleviated, and plus, dominance will likely fall. Altcoins will finally be distributed against Bitcoin. At the same time, there's another important point I want to show you. This is the realized profit across the entire system. This is in the context of the hourly chart, but with a 6-hour average. So there's already a triple divergence here as well, which decreases with each new impulse. In other words, profits are being fixed less and less, while the price is making new peaks. There's intraday divergence, weakness, meaning it's getting harder to move further, increasingly difficult. This is objectively what I'm saying. I don't know if it will go further or not. It might. It's a very strong chart, very strong. Where this will stop, I don't know, but with each new impulse, we're getting less profit and less fuel. In terms of fuel, we're already in the fourth wave with a decrease in the liquidation of short sellers. The same applies to the same profit metric, but specifically for long-term holders. Here, there's a similar picture across the system, specifically for long-term holders, the same triple divergence. Here, we have profit fixation, specifically for short-term holders. For those who don't know, short-term differs from long-term by a threshold of 155 days. Anyone holding Bitcoin for more than 155 days is considered a long-term holder within the blockchain. Here, we're approaching the peak levels from March of this year. So, you can see that. Quite likely, there was a similar situation here, some local divergence. Then we moved around for a few days, took it down, and then went up. So, we are now approaching these levels for short-term holders. However, in terms of understanding the correction, long-term holders are still more important. As proudly as the short-term holders. Next, the so-called avalanche of profit, meaning how much profit has been realized on average over 7 days. With a 7-day smoothing, at the moment, it's $2,100,000,000. I've specifically highlighted both cycles, the latest one, and the one before that from 2021. And we see that the current value is also starting to approach the extremes, in principle. So, the first extreme was in March. Then there were the extremes of 2021. There hasn't been more profit in the system with a 7-day average. So, this is also a fairly important indicator that needs to be taken into account. Profit dominance. I've already shown you this graph in previous videos. So, this is profit divided by loss. The peak has been passed. It was passed on November 11th, the day before yesterday, at around $2,000 profit for every 1,000. Or rather $1 loss. Now it's slightly decreasing, and it seems to be forming a divergence. There will be another jump. Divergences in dominance are dangerous, just so you understand. This was the halt of the March movement. In this format, with divergences in dominance. And then Bitcoin went sideways. So now a new wave of profit is coming. Here we are on November the 12th, 80 to 80 at the close, yes. And here, I think there will also be some sort of dealer-like figure that will need to be taken down. It will need to be taken down. So, this is yet another dangerous situation that, in principle, cannot be overlooked. At the same time, the number of outflows of Bitcoin and Ethereum from exchanges continues. It remains very high. Yesterday it was at $380 million, meaning both assets continue to go into deficit on the exchanges. Furthermore, the price of Bitcoin, not just the price, but the profit, the so-called MVRV ratio, which is market value divided by realized value across the system, considering both long-term and short-term holders, is in the euphoria zone. So, right now, it's the standard average for the entire trading history of Bitcoin plus one standard deviation. And, at the moment, it stands at 1.55. This means that if the entire system is currently in profit by 55%, then everyone, both short-term and long-term holders, is, on average, in profit across the system. This is currently considered a phase of euphoria. Before this, the phase of euphoria was in March. It didn't last long, and now we are in this phase for the 3rd day. However, if you scroll back to around 2021, you can see that this phase of euphoria can last a long time. Basically, if you look at the previous cycle, you can also see that it can last a long time. Yes, with pullbacks, but it lasts. Right now, we are entering it. And the next thing that I don't particularly like, which is concerning, is the realized profit divided by realized loss over a 2-week slice. So here, the divergence is something I don't like. The price is making a new peak while the indicator is making a new peak lower than the previous one. The price is higher than before, that is, there's a divergence. Again, if you look at a snapshot over 3 hypothetical years, the same picture was seen in 2021. Although there was a reversal through a triple divergence here, 1, 2, 3 price 1, 2, 3, I'm not keen on these divergences anymore, especially under the long-term indicator. Next, among the interesting indicators is a metric that shows how many days out of a 15-day window long-term holders spend their bitcoins. In other words, to turn the market down in March, it took about 10 days when long-term holders spent 15 out of 15 days. That is, when long-term holders covered this indicator by 100%. In other words, they were constantly spending on. It means they were spending every day. They spent every day. They were reducing their volume, flooding into the market. We are at response level -0.73, with the extreme zone being anything above 0.8. So, they start spending, which makes sense, but for now, we are still below the extreme zone. There's still room to spend. And here's another metric. This is MVRV, which I showed you here and here, but specifically for long-term holders. So, we have also entered the extreme zone here. At the moment, it stands at 3.5. This means that long-term holders currently have an average profit of about 250% based on this metric. Furthermore, in principle, everything was the same here. In 2021, as with the metric for all holders, not just long-term ones, the supply can be quite substantial. We've just broken through it now, so these are all the main metrics I wanted to show you here. But, by the way, the candle is already starting to form red, although it's still open, and there are about 3.5 hours left. We'll see what happens in the end. But it would be nice to trade this entire volume. So, to move sideways, capture divergences, and so on. I'll re-enter somewhere around here, but a clearer entry point will be provided in the Telegram channel. I'll share it there. What? Basically, from what I've just explained, in summary, yes, the market is strong. We've touched the lower boundary of my overall global target. The global range is 90 to 110,000. But we are seeing divergences forming intraday on the chart. We have intraday divergences. It's already 4 times the liquidations on the blockchain, and we are already seeing long-term divergences. That is, regarding realized profit in its various forms, whether it's relative or absolute, or separately for short-term and long-term positions. And this is starting to become a bit of a dangerous situation. So, something more serious and substantial is needed here, to cool the market down, and to give it a breather, so that this money can also flow into those coins that are currently much easier to move than Bitcoin, starting with Ethereum at least. But, in any case, the market is bullish, it's strong, and any significant correction right now, even on the 4-hour chart, is for me a point of entry for a long position. I will also re-enter Solana. It doesn't matter if it hits my stop loss at break-even or closes in profit. I also have an active limit order for Ethereum, and I might raise it as well, but we'll see. For now, it's just longs, and I will be re-entering them. That's it. But the current trend, yes, it's interesting and it's very strong. Very strong. Given that Bitcoin is actually rising against Nasdaq now. Nasdaq is in correction, while Bitcoin is on the rise. Even a plus for Bitcoin. That's it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Thank you all. Thanks for your attention. This was Mozart signing off, and goodbye everyone.